stop it. You're too funny.
Having a good time, darling?
I've never been one for parties. Loud music, meaningless small talk, it's just not my thing. But that night was different. I insisted we go. My wife, she seemed unusually on edge as she got ready. Her fingers kept tapping on her phone screen, a small, secretive smile playing on her lips as she read messages she made sure I couldn't see. I saw it all, but I pretended I didn't. Patience, I've learned, can be a much sharper weapon than anger. The party was at one of those ridiculously elegant venues, the kind with chandeliers that cost more than my car. The air was thick with expensive perfume and the sound of forced laughter. It was packed with people we both knew, our shared social circle. She took my arm as we walked in, but her grip felt rehearsed. Staged. The moment we stepped into the main hall, her eyes started scanning the crowd, a predator searching for her prey. I already knew who she was looking for. You see, a few weeks earlier, curiosity had gotten the better of me. I had seen messages I was never meant to see. The kind of messages that turn your world upside down in an instant. I didn't confront her then. What would have been the point? Tears, denials, more lies. No, I decided to wait. I wanted the truth to come out not in a messy, private argument, but in the open where it couldn't be twisted or hidden. At the party, the drinks flowed like a river. Champagne flutes clinked, and boisterous laughter echoed off the marble walls. She started to drift away from me, little by little, like a boat coming untethered from its dock. First, it was a friend across the room she just had to say hello to. Then another, and then, finally, she found him. I watched from a distance as she stood a little too close to another man. He leaned in, whispering in her ear with a confidence that told me this wasn't their first conversation. She laughed. It was a genuine, unguarded laugh, the kind she used to share with me. The people around them, our friends, they noticed. They glanced over, then quickly looked away, caught in the awkwardness. I felt a strange sense of calm wash over me. This was it. The moment I have been mentally preparing for. I picked up a fresh drink from a passing waiter and casually walked over, weaving through the clusters of guests. I joined their little circle as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "Having a good time?" I asked, smiling. My wife stiffened for just a fraction of a second, a flicker of panic in her eyes before she masked it. The man, to his credit, didn't flinch. He was bold. He stuck out his hand, introducing himself without a hint of shame. I shook it firmly, my smile never wavering. "A pleasure," I said. "Thanks for keeping my wife so entertained lately. I know I've been a bit preoccupied." It was as if someone had hit the mute button on the party's soundtrack. The music seemed to fade into the background. My wife's face went completely pale, all the color draining away. The people standing nearby, who had been pretending not to watch, now leaned in, their ears wide open. "Honey, stop joking," she said, her laugh high and nervous. "You're being weird." I looked at her, my expression softening slightly. "I'm not joking," I said, my voice steady and clear. "I'm not weird. I'm just tired of the lies." I then mentioned the messages. The late-night work meetings. The stories that never quite added up. A profound silence spread through our little corner of the room, faster and more absolute than any gossip ever could. The man took a step back, his confident smirk finally gone, replaced by a look of dawning horror. He suddenly looked like a kid caught with his hand in the cookie jar. My wife opened her mouth to speak, to deny, to explain, but no words came out. Just a choked, strangled sound. I never raised my voice. I didn't call her names or insult him. I just laid the facts out, one by one, like cards on a table. "This party was her idea, you know," I said, addressing the small crowd that had now gathered. "She insisted we come. And I insisted we come together. I wanted witnesses." Her friends, the ones she'd been laughing with just moments before, suddenly found the floor incredibly fascinating, refusing to meet her eyes. A few guests, feeling the unbearable tension, quietly slipped away. Others remained, frozen, watching the drama unfold. "Why?" She finally whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. "Why would you humiliate me like this?" I looked at her, the woman I had shared my life with, and felt a pang of something that wasn't quite pity, but wasn't anger either. "Because betrayal doesn't deserve privacy," I told her. "Privacy is a privilege you earn with trust. Humiliation is what you feel when your private actions are made public. The man muttered a weak apology to no one in particular and made a hasty exit, practically running from the room. He was a coward, just as I suspected. My wife reached for my arm, a desperate, pleading gesture. I took a small step back out of her reach. That single, simple movement seemed to hurt her more than any shouting ever could. "I've already moved my things out," I said quietly, for her ears only now. "The papers were filed this morning. This conversation right here, right now, this is our goodbye." That's when she broke. The tears she'd been holding back started to fall freely, and she cried openly, her shoulders shaking. But no one rushed to comfort her. Her friends stood by like statues. I looked at her one last time. "I really do wish you well," I said, and I meant it. Then I turned and walked away. The crisp night air outside felt lighter, cleaner than it had in years. I got in my car and drove home in complete silence. No music, no radio. For the first time in a very long time, the silence didn't feel empty. It felt peaceful. Later that night, my phone exploded with messages. Some were from friends apologizing for knowing something was wrong but saying nothing. Some were from acquaintances, thanking me for having the courage to stand up for myself. And there were dozens of texts from her, long, rambling paragraphs of panic and regret. I didn't read them, I just deleted the entire thread. The next morning, the story was everywhere, of course. Our social circle wasn't that big. I didn't add to it, I didn't correct details or try to paint myself as a hero. I just let the facts stand on their own. The weeks that followed were quiet. The intense anger I thought I'd feel just faded. It was replaced by a sense of clarity. I realized that what I did at that party wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about embarrassing her. It was about getting closure. It was about drawing a line in the sand and saying, "This is where the deception ends." Slowly, I started rebuilding my routine. I started sleeping through the night again. I stopped replaying old conversations in my head, searching for clues I might have missed. I started focusing on my own future, not on the choices she had made.